Hi, welcome to the channel. It's currently mid-November. Temperatures are in the 30s, sometimes low 30s, and I think my bass season's just about done for the year. So I was trying to think of something to put on the channel, so I figured I'd show you what baits and lures I use this year for most of my pond fishing and my largemouth bass. So here we go. Let me just show you first what I carry in the truck with me. This is the box and the bag I carry with me in my pickup truck. And pretty much everything I need is in there. First, one of the most common things I use is my Texas rig box. This is just the hooks and weights. Excuse me, I didn't grab the right one here. The hooks and weights that I use when I rig Texas, which I do a lot. I really like these thin boxes from Plano. I think it's the 3701. They take up a lot less room and there's a lot less wasted space. So in there, tungsten weights, hooks different sizes, bobber stops, pretty much standard stuff for Texas rigging. I always have my swim baits with me. I like a swim bait pretty much all year round. I use a lot of GT 360s, a lot of the smaller size, and then just standard swim baits that I rig on a jig. Also this year I was using these minnow replica baits a lot. They work pretty well in a couple different sizes. And then my swim bait jig heads, some underspins, just regular swim bait heads in a couple different weights, 3/8, quarter, some 1/2 ounce. And then I have I did get some of these new tackle boxes from Plano. They're supposed to stop rust. They're kind of expensive, but I like them. We're going to see how they work out. In this box I have my shaky head jigs and my hooks for wacky worm rigging. Just regular, shaky head jigs. Nothing special about them. A lot of different styles for wacky rigging worms. Weedless hooks. Some weighted, some not weighted. I do use the O-rings on most of my wacky rigs. The worm tends to last a little longer. Let's see what else we got here. Jigs. Got a box full of jigs. Swim jigs, some Arky style jigs. Nothing special about them, just your standard jig heads. Different sizes. I do have some smaller ones. I do like to use some of the smaller ones. And then I do keep some trailers that I use on the jig heads in here, although most of my trailers are in plastic bags because I like to leave them in the bags until I use them. I don't like to take them out and put them in the boxes. Spinner baits. A lot of spinner baits, especially early spring, early summer. This will be one I use real early on, and then later in the fall too. But just a box full of spinners. All right. Box of different crankbaits. Some deeper running stuff, some medium running stuff. Another box of crankbaits. I do use a lot of lipless baits, especially early in the season. Different colors. I got some jointed baits in here. Oh yeah, earlier I talked about my wacky worm hooks. I do have a box full of the actual worms I use when I rig wacky. I just leave them in the Ziploc bags that they come in, and then just put them in here. Box full of top waters, mostly prop type. Some frogs in there. Another box full of top waters. Some walking baits. Some, spin. And then I do have some whopper ploppers of different sizes. A box full of deep running crankbaits. I don't use these a lot on pond fishing. Most of the ponds I fish are too shallow for that. Some more deep diving baits. Some of these are even the ones I would use walleye fishing. But I use them bass fishing too if I do have a need for some deep running stuff. See what else I got here. Like I said, I keep my plastics in Ziploc bags mostly. There's a bag full of different power worms, worms with tails on it, swimming tails. Some stick worms, Senkos, different things like that. A bag full of craws and creature plastic baits. I gotta come up with a better way to hold these, but for right now that's what I got them in. And then some frog style plastic baits. Let's see here. A lot of spare stuff in here. Box with square bills in it. I use a lot of square bills early in the season. A lot, especially the red or orange colored square bills early in the season. And then there's a couple of lipless baits in here too. By the end of the season it gets pretty disorganized because I tend to shove things in whatever is the closest box I can get to. More Texas rig hooks and stuff, spare stuff. Box full of creature baits. I do use a few tube jigs, and I do have a box with some tube jigs in it. I don't use these a lot, but occasionally I'll use something like that. If I'm finesse fishing on the creeks or something like that. The ponds I fish the bottoms are covered in scum, so these don't really work all that well in that. But I do occasionally use them. I did use this one this year when the early fall, when the fish had moved right up to the bank, and I was throwing that tube jig and did really well. Got some extra weights, just a box full of weights. Some glide baits. I have not used these a lot, but I have them. I know some guys swear by them. I'm going to try those out next season a little more. Drop shot box. If I do find a pond with a gravel bottom, these are great drop shot. do have some curly tail grubs that I use, especially on the creeks. And then I do have my finesse box too that I will use. Late fall, early winter. Just let those sit on the bottom, just twitch them a little bit. They work pretty well. And then usually when I'm walking on the side of a bank, all I carry is one bag with all my stuff in it. I usually have 3 or 4 different rods that I have rigged up so I don't have to change baits real often. I try to keep it lighter, but sometimes I probably have more stuff than I should have. Anyway, that's it. That's what I used for largemouth this year. In one of the future episodes, I'll show you my small creek box, and then I'll show you my walleye box for Canada. Thanks. We'll see you later.